I'm organizing some of my bee stuff that I won't need over the winter. Looks like I'm building bee condos to rent out. I inherited a 3-story ant farm today. I was at some folks' house and they had an old beehive that had been left in their yard for about 3 years. I actually saw it earlier in the year and it had bees in it. They didn't think there was bees in it, and I went to check it out, and I think one of my swarms had homesteaded in it. So I said, well, I'll leave it with you, and I'll tend it. I went back over there today to check it out, and it was empty, and they said, well, you can have it. And it was kind of covered up with bushes, so I couldn't really see the condition of it. But like I said, it hadn't been tended in 3 years, so it's just been sitting there rotting and getting eaten up with termites. And I cracked the lid on it earlier and found out it's just full of carpenter ants. And although the box is rotten, there's a good lid with a galvanized cover and a good, I don't see any problems with the inner cover. So there's a good inner cover, and the honey super looks like it's pretty solid. And then there's one of those metal queen excluders under it. So I may be able to salvage some parts out of it. The 2 brood chambers are obviously rotten. I'm fixing to bust them apart and see if the frames in them are any good. Well, it looks like the honey super is usable and the queen excluder is still good. It was stuck pretty good, but I didn't tear it up getting it apart. So a little bit of elbow grease and the honey super and the queen excluder will be good to go. And the frames have these are foundationless frames, and they're all still good. They're propylized pretty good, but once I clean them up, they'll be usable. So there's 10 more frames that are usable, and the frames in this top super are still good. They're foundationless as well. So you can see I broke the wire on this one getting it out, and it's pretty nasty, but there's some wax I can melt down and reuse, and the frames all appear to be in good shape. There's a little bit of scarring on them from wax moth, but there's no wax moth, there's no beetles or anything in them. There's a little bit of scarring on the inner cover from an old wax moth infestation. And the bottom frames may even still be good. I hadn't tried to pry any of them out yet. It's kind of like a little dirty time capsule. It's kind of neat to go in and see what's left of it after not being tended for all this time. Well, the frames from the bottom super are still intact, no rot, no termites, and actually have foundations in them, and they all look to be in decent shape. So a little bit of cleaning, scraping, maybe doing a little work on the foundations. I see some of the frames are foundationless. These 2 are, and these 2 outside ones are. So the 4 centers had foundations, and the outsides, or the 5 centers did, and the outsides did not. These were 10 frame boxes, and you can see they were running, I pulled 1 frame out, so they were running 8 frames in that top box, which allowed a lot of extra space, and the bees built in between everything. That's one of the problems with running too much space. You can run 9 frames in a 10 frame without too much trouble, but when you start spreading them out or reducing frames, it gives a lot more space, and the bees just like to do their own thing. So to keep them kind of under control, you got to maintain your bee space. If you give them extra room, they'll actually build somewhere off your frames rather than build on your frames. So that's what that is right there. And they had 9 frames in this. Let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, they had 9 frames in the bottom box, which is a 10 frame box. And 9 frames is fine in a 10 frame box. You just kind of space them like kind of like they did here. So there's my Sanford & Son free supply take for the day. A little bit of elbow grease. That box there is one I already had. So I got 17 extra deep frames, queen excluder, super, lid, inner cover, and it looks like 10 frames in the Honey Super for free.